In this part, we will be talking about the limb bones which we have. Definitely, the limb bones are equally distributed on the two lateral sides of our body, namely the left and right halves. And definitely these are the part of our appendicular skeleton which are present at the two lateral sides of the axial skeleton. So the limb bones are of definitely two types. We have bones of the forelimb here, and we have bones on the hind limb. Now each forelimb consists of 30 bones. Yes, at the forelimbs we have around 30 bones for us. The bones are definitely important, joined by help of several structures in between. We will know about each type, and definitely this will help us understand the processes which go on for occurrence of movement and locomotion in us. So definitely each forelimb consists of 30 bones. So in both our forelimbs we have a total of 60 bones. The humerus or arm bone or bone of the upper arm is the longest and largest bone of upper limb. So yes, this is our humerus. It is the strongest, largest bone of the upper arm. The bone is definitely connected with the pectoral girdle here, and at the lower part it is connected with two other bones which we are going to understand as radius and ulna. It articulates proximally with scapula and distally at the elbow with both the ulna and radius. Definitely, so this is the proximal end, this is the proximal end, and this is the distal end. As you can clearly observe, at the proximal end, the humerus is joined with the pectoral girdle, specifically with the scapula, and definitely at the distal end, it is joined with the ulna and radius. And this structure is the elbow joint. Humerus is characterized by presence of deltoid tuberosity for the attachment of muscles. So if you observe the well-developed ultrastructure of humerus, we can understand that there is a deltoid tuberosity which help in attachment of muscles to the bone. And yes, the muscles only by contracting and relaxing at times help in our movement of body parts. The distal end of humerus at the elbow joint is like pulley and called trochlea. Its groove is called the olecranon fossa, whose basal part is marked by a supratrochlear foramen for the passage of brachial artery and nerve. So this is nothing but the description of humerus, where we can understand that there is passage of brachial artery and definitely the nerves associated with it. So that's how we can observe our humerus. As we can see, there is the deltoid tuberosity for attachment of muscles. There are the fossa present here, the radial fossa, and definitely this is the head which is connected with that of the scapula. Now the humerus is characterized by arterial foramen. So presence of arterial foramen is a very important characteristic of our humerus, which we can observe in the diagram here clearly. This is the surgical neck of humerus. This is the ridge, a characteristic ridge, and definitely the epicondyle of the medial, and finally the trochlea, which you have just discussed little earlier. The head of humerus articulate with the glenoid cavity of pectoral girdle. So this particular part, which is the head of humerus, is articulating at the glenoid cavity. The glenoid cavity, which is cavity of the pectoral girdle of our shoulder. The radius is present towards thumb side, definitely towards the thumb, and ulna is present toward the little finger side. So if I stretch my arm like this, you can observe radius is present towards the thumb. So this part would have the radius and ulna would be present towards the little finger side. So radius and ulna are the two bones of the middle part of the forelimb in humans. Whereas there is a bone, a large bone, humerus, present between the shoulder and the elbow. The radius is smaller and ulna is comparatively larger. So if we observe the thickness, the ratio of thickness is around 60:40. Yes, the ratio of thickness of the two bones becomes 60:40. 60 is for ulna, that is the larger one, and 40 is for the radius, that is the smaller one. So whenever we have an arm fracture, usually radius experience the most fractures. There is a styloid process. Here we can observe the styloid process. Here also we can observe the same thing from a different side. The styloid process is present in distal end of ulna and radius both of the bones. So yes, presence of styloid process is a characteristic which help us identify radius and ulna. The olecranon process is present in ulna proximally, which forms prominence of the elbow. So yes, there is olecranon process which you can observe here, the olecranon process. Besides, we have the trochlear notch, the other processes, radial notch, radial tuberosity and so on. But the olecranon process is specifically important for us. It is forming the prominence of elbow in human beings. The trochlear notch is formed by ulna, which is also known as the sigmoid notch. So this is the trochlear notch, or also known as the sigmoid notch. The sigmoid notch, and this is formed by the ulna and not by the radius. At the next part, we will be talking about the wrist bones.